There we go. So you can start with the same method we use for pinch pots and wreck forming. Just make a little round bowl. But the coiling method will help you to make it taller. And I'm going to use this as my base. So I can just spread out the clay and have it started in this form here. And you don't want to get the bottom too thin. This will also help you thin it out. The only problem that I foresee with this is that when you start going and making the piece, you can have a little ridge wherever that, but you can smooth that out later if you want, or you can leave it as part of the process. So I'm trying to make it as uniform as possible. You don't have to. You can make it regular forms, but it's all about hand-eye coordination and balance. If it doesn't balance, it's going to fall over. So it doesn't have to be perfectly round, but if you want it to be, you need some slip. So you'll need something like this, but you don't have to use a slip and score method unless you're just gonna like place the pieces on top of each other and show the coiling method. But even if you just merge in one side, like the inside, and leave the outside where you can see the coils, you may need to slip and score because you have to get because the stresses are going to be such that they might cause them to. You can take your tool like this, and if you want to get it really smooth, you can smooth it. Like I was talking earlier, when it's leather hard, you could use the back of a spoon or a smooth stone, and really my fingers do a better job until it's leather hard. Just kind of gouging a wooden tool. So I'm going to show you a couple of ways of making coils. You could actually take as much as you can hold in your hand, make a kind of a cone. This is one way to get coils quickly. You're not too worried about them being perfectly even. And you just kind of like create this motion, and you can make really long coils this way. These are kind of too big, but I'm going to use this. The guy that showed this to me, he was making really large pieces, so he needed large coils. You just rock it through your hands until it. Okay, but I really, it's better for me to do it on the table. So see how irregular that is? Well, the question is, how do you get it even if you're going to do it this way? Well, it's like your sight and the way you use your hands. You pinch that off and work just with this. It's already pretty close. So what I do is you're going out like that, and you're feeling where the irregularities are in the piece, and then moving your hands accordingly. So starting in the middle and moving out, going. You can make really big coils, or you can make really thin coils. If you have a lot of space, you can make long coils this way. You might only want to make one coil at a time for one turnaround piece. But you can do it more than that if you want. You can just do it continuously. So that's a little big, but I'm going to cut this in half. Let's see. That should be at least one turnaround, maybe more. And that way it can work a little easier. So make it just a little bit smaller. But I could have put that size coil on there if I wanted to. So the more uniform you get, the more even it's going to be all the way around. So since I'm probably not going to, first I just put it in place, right? That's all I'm doing right now. I could keep going like that, going around. I might be able to go around. Nope, not quite. All right, so what if I can't go around? If you go out too much in the beginning, now you can start with a wider base, of course. But if you go out too much in the beginning, then you're going to wind up having it flop out on you, because the clay is pretty soft. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up from the bottom. It's easier to do with two coils on top of each other, and push down from the top. So here where I get it, two coils, then I wind up being able to merge them together. Now I didn't merge all the way around yet, so let's go ahead and get another piece. And then I can start pinching it up. So you want to make sure you've merged it really well. So you go up on one side and down on the other. Really, since I got it so thin there and the coil's a lot thicker than what I got, I really am going to go down on both sides. But then I need to be able to go up and down with the coil above. So I'm going to go pinching it up and down here. And then this went around to about like right there. So you can see why it's already gotten kind of off. So why I would say use one coil at a time. But you can just pinch it, kind of merge it at the same time. And this is really soft clay, so it's there we go, it's getting closer to being even. And then just kind of merge it, smooth it out, and go along. Now you may wind up having it get too soft on you to go any further out. I'm going to try and turn this and make it go inward, so it doesn't get too far out on me. But once you get the basic thing done there, you can go back and start smoothing it out even more as it gets leather hard. We do have a couple of heat guns, so we can bring the cord over here and you can plug them in and use them if you want to speed up the process. So you can heat up a little bit where you're working, and that can sometimes help. Now I've shown you how to make these coils with. You can see where I haven't quite got it merged together. You can still see my marks. You can still see the coils, but you can refine that as much as you can as you want, even up through leather hard stage. And that's probably what I will do if I finish this. Basically, I'm just trying to show you how to do this. So I want you to start by making around two small pieces just to get the hang of it. And then once you get the hang of it, try and make one that's at least a foot tall. So that's going to take you waiting for parts of it to dry and then adding clay and making sure you keep the top moist so you can add the next thing of clay. I can add this. Now I'm going to show you how to use the extruder. So you want to make a bullet kind of like this, and come over here. So this is the extruder, and try and keep it clean. So we've got, this is very simple in some ways, simple machine. The last person just did some coiling, did not clean it out. I know it was cleaned before I started this, so just try and clean it out when you get done. It's not that hard. I've got some things over here that you can clean it out with. Spoon here. That's good, because this happens, so I can show you how to do it. Just get that clay out, and this is already drier than what I've got. So we have these things like this. You can use them for different things. This is for these. When you want to choose, say you want to extrude a flat piece, extrude that kind of piece. You want to extrude something bigger, use one of these. The round one's missing. I don't know where it is that has this size. But you can also, if you use this, you can actually extrude tubes, right? So I'm not going to show that today necessarily, but so what I am going to do, since I already have this, I don't need to use this one. Where is the one? Oh, this one. See, we have the same size hole right there. That's the biggest hole right there. I don't have any that's bigger than that, because you can make bigger coils than that and use them. But we're going to use just this one. So you put this in there, try and center it. Well, actually centering it's not that big, that important. And then it has these two things on the side, and you lock it in like that. And then you put your clay down and it's there. It has to fit. Put it all the way down. You'll have to do this more than once probably to make your final piece. Put this on there like that. Wait a minute, not like that. Like that. And let it go all the way down where it touches the clay. And don't do this, pulling sideways or that way. Just line yourself up as straight as possible, and you go like that. You see that this mechanism kind of falls down each time. If it doesn't, you want to push it down. Go to the next one, and if it doesn't go down, just make sure you don't get your fingers around there and pinch them, because it'll hurt like with Dickens. So don't get a pinch. You can see the clay starting to come out, and it'll hit that, and then it'll just like start rolling around. So that gives you some really even coils. Did you hear that popping? It really is probably better to wedge the clay first, but you can just feel when you're working with it. You can feel those, but I'm doing it from that side, but it's better to do it from this side. But make sure you go straight from the other side, and then when you get to there, there's still clay in there. So if you need more coils than that, you'd have to go and get some more clay and put it on top of there. But if you're not going to go right back to there, so this is the thing that's going to be a little hard. So you got to make that loosen up and it's out of it. So still got to come out pretty much. You see the clay on that. So be nice to the next person, unless you know somebody's coming right behind you. Clean this up because it gets dry, and then you get dry clay in their clay, and it doesn't really work. And because if you have the clay already dry in there, and you're adding wet clay to it, so you got clay in here too, that needs to come out. So scoop that out and reuse the clay. If you're going to put some more coils in there, you don't need to clean it out. Just put another piece of clay in there and just keep going, because some of the clay is going to get trapped in there, so you don't really get a lot of coils from that. So you see how much clay I got out of there. I got a good bit of clay left in there, and then there's going to be clay on the side, so you need to. And also this thing's stuck, so clean this off. You know, and if you can't, if you want to go ahead and get to work, if you leave it, just go back and clean it up later at least before you leave. And don't forget, because the next person's going to have to clean it so they don't get dry clay in their wet clay. Anyway, there's still more clay in there. A bunch of clay. So you can fit your hand down in there and you can feel it. So just get all the clay out of there, clean it out. You don't necessarily have to do it if somebody's coming right behind you, especially if they're using the same kind of clay you're using. So that's pretty good. I'll clean it out more later. But going in and finishing with the demonstration. So that's basically it. You saw I used the coils that I made. That coil is a little thicker, but this will be easier to manage. And it won't be quite as uneven because all the coils are almost exactly the same size, right? So you can coil, you can take this whole thing and coil it by just taking it, unrolling it, or you can cut it in smaller parts. And other things you can do, just take a little pinch here. You can make shapes with them. You can take them like by coiling them like this and make round forms. And you can attach these round forms in a pattern, fill in the spaces or leave spaces if you want. If you want it just like a lantern or decorative type of pattern, or you're making something to look like something else. Or you can do even square patterns, you know, meander type patterns, any kind of thing that you want to, and you can add those and have that become a part of the piece. You can smooth out one side so that you can kind of thin it out, but also make sure that it doesn't have holes in it, and it still shows the pattern on the other side. You have one side that's that way and it's still the other way. So a lot of different things you can do. You can make interesting designs, but that's the assignment. So today you can start on this assignment. If you haven't finished the other assignment, the first assignment, finish it. If you still want to work on the wheel, you can work on the wheel. If you don't want to get started on the coiling today, because it did take up a lot of the time of the class, but finish glazing your work. So if you haven't finished glazing your pieces, then glaze them so we can fire them this weekend. And then we can look at them on Monday. All right? Okay, that's it. Thank you. Is it still going? Or did it run out of? All right.
Does it have to be a bolt?
No, I said